Thanks for coming in or doing this today. Kara O'Brien. Where are you? You're in Whitehall, right?
Yep, Whitehall.
And Tony, are you in Brooklyn?
Fort Greene, Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, New York. And Kara, you graduated high school at Fremont High School what year?
1994.
And Tony, you were at Grant High School. What was your graduate year?
Class of 2003.
Let's start with if you remember any of the art-ins that happened at Camp Newaygo. You remember any of those?
Yes, I recall one for sure that I participated in. I couldn't tell you the name of the artist, but the project was we were doing a relief mold making. So we sculpted something like, on a slab. Okay. And we made a little, I believe, silicone mold, and then made copies.
Okay.
I probably taught that class.
Really?
Yeah. I taught a couple art-ins, but I took a couple when I distinctly remember one was pastel drawing and one was like portrait drawing.
So that's funny. You think you might have been the guest artist?
Yeah. So this I would suspect would have been like 99 or 2000.
Yeah, I taught two art-ins. I taught one paper casting and making molds with plaster, and then I taught one making molds with silicone.
I would wager that whatever I made that day is still at my mom's house.
Does Kara look familiar as the artist? Do you remember seeing her now?
Probably not.
We're lucky I remember anything about it.
That would be hilarious, and it would be really cool if that were the case, and it sounds like it might be the case. Okay, well, that's a happy coincidence. Let's move on to the any of the field trips. Every year there was a day-long field trip to a museum. Usually it was Chicago. Sometimes usually it was Detroit because that was the easiest to get to the DIA. Sometimes they would do Chicago or Toledo, and that happened every year. Do you guys go on any of those?
I'm pretty sure I went to Chicago. I don't remember going to the DIA, but I think we had like day trips to Chicago.
So as a kid from Grant or a kid from Fremont, going to the Chicago Art Institute or the DIA, was that a big deal?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was. Just leaving the city was a big deal.
Yeah.
But, just seeing the things that your teachers had shown pictures of or slides of, and then seeing those in person was pretty amazing. Part of one of the things that we did on the trip was we went to what is now the Contemporary Museum in Chicago. That was like pretty awesome to see people that weren't dead having artwork in a museum.
Right. So. It's not dead guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, I believe we also visited like the art school while we were on that trip as well. So that was just, I think that was probably the most useful thing about that trip was the being exposed to the idea of what going to college for art looks like. It's having a visible template for that was something that we didn't really have a ton of in Grant.
Right. Yeah. Was that kind of like formative in any kind of way? Like, oh, I could actually do this. I mean, you kind of said that, you hinted to that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's like, it's not like we have like media depiction, or not at the time, of like right. What going to art school
right.
looks like. And so, I think in general, like in Grant, like if anybody, you might want to go to musical theater school or to art school or what have you, but like you don't know anybody that's done that. You've never seen what that path looks like when you're in the onion fields in Grant. So yeah, I would say that these trips exposing us to what a college path can look like for a life in the arts is not something you're going to get without leaving town in Grant.
Let's talk about the art show. This I know for a lot of kids in particular, it's a big deal. It's a countywide adjudicated art show. Probably the first time you were entered artwork into an art show that was adjudicated. So let's start with that. What was that like for you?
I remember stuff for the high school version. And I remember it being a really big deal. Like we had to get things like matted and like prepared to display. And it was like, you know, having like picking 3 pieces or whatever we could enter. And I did go on the trip to Toronto, and that was, you know, we took the train, and, you know, that was a whole with other classmates and people from other schools, which was like, whoa, there's other people from other schools that like art too. That's kind of awesome.
Let's talk a bit about your post high school careers after college, pursuing a career as a professional artist. How, if you can answer this question, how did any of these experiences you had as a high school kid make that decision any easier, or how did it inform that decision at all, if at all?
Well, I think it's great that even if we're just having these workshops, you are being exposed to the idea of people that have made it work on some level to be a professional working artist, which, you know, if you can't see it, you can't be it. So they just being exposed to adults who are working artists is useful.
Sure.
I think that you're right about that. Like the Arden kind of where you got to have a little bit of one-on-one time with a working artist that wasn't your teacher, to have somebody that's like doing this for a living give you like, you know, give you pointers and tips. You're like, wow, they like gave me a compliment. That's, you know, it's really encouraging.
Yeah, last thing, can you encompass anything you want to say to encompass your experiences with the arts programs at TrueNorth? Like I said, a statement.
The more funding.
They need more funding. I think they're important. I think it's essential for like young people that are interested in art to have like these things that encourage them. A little bit broader view of the world from a professional artist, or to get out of your tiny town and see some actual museums.
Well, thank you, Tony from Brooklyn and Kara from Whitehall here in Michigan. Thanks for your time, you guys. I really appreciate it.
All right. See you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.